All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started, get right into this. This is week 2 of our recruiting blueprint group that we're working on the series that will be going about 6 weeks on. And as promised, I want to start this off with, some mindset training. And then what we'll do is we'll open it up for questions or anything you guys want to talk about in regards to the last couple videos that we watched from Justin Prince. And then also what we're going to be doing is the last 30 minutes, we're going to do a working 30, where we're going to actually have you start taking the information that we're learning and putting it into action. And no problem, Angie. I know there's a lot of people still trying to jump over. But we're going to get started and get right into the bat. So what I want to talk to you guys about is, last week we talked about like how your mind is a garden and we have to decide what type of seeds we're going to be planting. One thing that, really can hold us back is, we're planting these seeds. And when we're planting these seeds, something that also happens in this process is it's called the knowing doing gap. And so what I want to do on this call is just help set the tone with this concept that as you're thinking about the seeds that you're planting for yourselves, you also have to start thinking about, I'm planting all of these seeds, but now the next step is really understanding what this knowing doing gap is. Because once you understand this, the way you build your business and your life is never going to be the same. You're going to have a different outlook on it. And, a lot of people don't fail because we don't know what to do. We have all the systems, we have all the resources, we have all the mentors, but most people fail because we don't do what we know, right? And there's this huge invisible space between what we know and between what we actually do. And I want to help close that gap because this gap is where our dreams die. It's where our potential just stays potential. And it's really the gap where people like us that have massive goals, we go back into this gap and we talk ourselves into staying small. And tonight we're going to help you. I really want to help you with closing that gap so that we can help you succeed faster and not fall back into these false rhythms that our subconscious has created. And so the best way to look at this is the knowing gap is this space between information and action. We all here know exactly what grows our business. Posting consistently, inviting people to the calls that we have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, following up with people, sharing our story, talking about the opportunity. There's all these things like making sure that we're being seen on social, leading with confidence. These are the things that we know grow our business. But the problem with it is we know all of this, but a lot of times we still don't do anything with it. And that's where we all kind of start to fall in this gap. And it's not that we're lazy, right? It's not that we need more training because we definitely have plenty of training, or it's not that we're unmotivated. It's because of our paradigm. And our paradigm is our internal autopilot. And that internal autopilot is what's running the show for us. And so what we need to do is we have to learn how to change that because we know more than ever, but we change less. And I kind of call it like information constipation, right? We get all of this information and then we hold it and we sit on it and we're in this gap and we never act upon it. And, we're drowning in information, not just in this business, but in everything in life. We have information coming at us from all different avenues, all the information on this business, all the information in life, and then, information of kids' school activities and sports, and now the holidays. Like there's so much that's coming at us. And in this business specifically, like we have access to all the trainings that we need, access to all of the courses, access to podcasts. We have, access to anything and everything that we could need to make this business successful. But the problem is we have all of this and we know so much, but yet sometimes you might feel that we're stuck, that we're in this era where we don't know how to change. And the best way to think about that is because we may have all of this information, but information does not create transformation. So I want you guys to go ahead and write it down in your notes. And then I'm going to go ahead and mute real quick. Information does not create transformation. Behavior is what creates our transformation. And so our paradigm, which is our habits, our beliefs, and our self-image, that is going to control 95% of our actions. So as I said, we can have all the strategies. We have this great program from Justin Prince, but it doesn't do us any good if our paradigm is still stuck in this gap and we're not working on training the brain. We have to switch the flip, because like our conscious mind, it learns new things all the time, but our subconscious mind decides whether or not we're actually going to do them. So again, the problem isn't knowing what to do. And I want you guys to really understand that, because a lot of times we come in this business, we're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. That's more of just an excuse that your subconscious is giving you. Because if you peel back the layers, we know what to do. It's the problem is that our subconscious is programmed for comfort. Right? So we know we need to invite. We know we need to get into messages. We know we need to talk about our products and the opportunity, but our subconscious wants to be comfortable. It doesn't want to be judged. It doesn't want other people. It doesn't want people to say anything different about, against what we're doing. And so it's protecting us, or so it thinks it's protecting us, by keeping us in our comfort zone. And our actions, we really act from our self-image and not our goals. And so I really want you to take this into account as the new year is coming. There's going to be a lot of people talking about, where's your vision board? What are your goals? What do you have on there? And I absolutely believe in all that. But if we can't change our paradigm and we don't learn how to act from our self-image, our goals are only goals and we're never going to achieve them. And then come the end of next year and we're trying to revamp our goal board, our vision board, we're wondering why we didn't reach half of them, because our self-image is what controlled us throughout the year. So you cannot outperform the identity that you hold of yourself. And we want to change that as we're working through this. If your self-image, if you have things such as, I'm inconsistent, I'm not a leader, I'm not good on social media, I'm scared to be salesy, I'm not good at recruiting, I don't want to bother people, all these thoughts that are running through our mind constantly, if we cannot, if that's what our self-image is, then our actions will always match that identity. So that's why I talked about, we got to plant the seeds. We get to choose what seeds we're planting. And in Monday, last week we talked about, we can't control the very first thought that comes into our mind. I'm inconsistent. But we can control that second thought of, no, I'm not inconsistent. I show up every day. It may not be for 3 hours every day, but every day I'm showing up, right? We can control that second thought. And that's what we have to do to really reprogram our paradigm and create this self-image that's going to give us the belief and the confidence for us to then have these actions that need to take place. So again, our goals do not drive our behavior. Our self-image does. And so to change our results, we must change how we see ourselves. And I want to give you guys some ideas on how this gap, again, it's a silent gap that most people don't ever really recognize. But I want to, show you how this shows up in your business and kind of play it out on how it plays out in real life. A lot of us, we know that we should invite somebody to these opportunity calls that we have on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But instead of inviting, we rewrite our message 14 times instead of sending it, because it's not perfect. We don't have the right word. Oh my gosh, what is Julie going to think if I send this to her? She's going to think I'm part of some pyramid scheme, all these thoughts go through our mind. We know that we're supposed to post consistently to help us be seen, to help us grow our presence on social media. But yet we tend to wait for the perfect content day. We wait until our hair is perfect, our makeup's perfect, instead of just showing up raw and messy and who we really are, to where people can get that know, like, trust factor from us. We all know how this opportunity can change our lives. We're on here, right? We're investing, but we stay quiet and we don't tell other people because we're afraid of the judgment that they're going to give us. We know that consistency is key. That's one of the biggest culprits to whether you're going to succeed or not in this business. But a lot of times we go back to like the starting and stopping. So for those of you that have kids that are at driving age or have gone through those stages, it's like when you're teaching your child how to first drive, it's like start and stop. And you're like, no, you just need to gradually get on the gas and get that momentum and slowly hit the brake when it's time to stop. But instead, it's like they're driving with 2 feet. That's what we would do with our business a lot, is we're driving it with 2 feet to where we can't ever really get momentum. And so when you think about this, it's not a knowledge problem. We have all the resources available to us. It's a paradigm problem. And before we get into sending messages and inviting people, and even if we do send messages to the calls, if our paradigm is, yeah, they might just jump on just because we're friends and they want to support me, but they're never going to sign up. You just spoke that seed into your garden, into your mind, and now your subconscious is going to water it. So guess what's going to happen? They're not going to sign up because they're going to feel that energy in the way you speak to them, when you message them, the way that you invited them. So we have to change this type of thinking and this behavior, but understand that our body will resist new behavior. It's just what our body is the way our body is designed. And like Bob Proctor has always said that your paradigm will fight you for control. So we have to learn how to get that strength to fight against it, because when we try to step outside of our comfort zone, your body is literally going to send fear signals. And it's not because anything is wrong, but because your old identity is trying to survive. So kind of like what I mentioned in the chat, I had a big lead I wanted to reach out to. Her and her husband, you can tell they're really big into the fitness world. And I was not going to message her, but I was like, I'm going to do it. I created the message. I took time to really perfect it. I probably took too much time, right? Because I'm falling back into that gap, rewriting it 14 times and then not actually sending it. But I did send it. I customized it to her and the things I saw on her social. And the moment I saw her little face pop up that she had read the message, instantly I had that gut check. And I had that fear of like, it was almost like anxiety. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is she going to say now that she read it? And then I'm thinking, we're local. What if I run into her at the store? And I instantly had to shut it down. I'm like, well, if I run into her at the store, shoulders back, head up, and I'm going to have confidence that absolutely the reason I reached out to her is because I know what her and her husband are doing. They can help so many other people by partnering and working with me. And like, I was talking myself up, because it's not just Make Wellness. It's not just the peptides. It is going to be like, you need to look at this as it is a, what's the best way to explain it? For you to offer somebody to work with you, they should look at that as a compliment, is the word I was looking for. So I had to rewire my paradigm in that moment, because I'm like, oh my gosh, like if I see her at the store, I'm like, I don't know her. I didn't send her a message, but it's like, no, I need to have the shoulders up and be like, I would absolutely love for you to work with me, because us working together, we can change so many lives. It's going to help you in your endeavor. So these are things that we have to continue to work on, because our body is going to resist these new behaviors that we're trying to create. So like the anxiety and the second guessing and the procrastination, I want you guys to really don't take it lightly. Don't think that this is a sign to stop. This is truly a sign you are breaking the pattern. And so I want you to write that down, when you guys are journaling. What are the things that you feel when you are talking about the business or you are telling people about the product? When you start to feel these things, like write them down and just remind yourself that this is a sign that you are breaking the pattern of your paradigm. And you're going to overcome that, and you're going to retrain yourself. Like I talked about last Monday, you get a negative thought, you're going to combat it with a positive thought, right? Something completely opposite. And so this is how we're going to close the knowing doing gap. Again, we have all the information that we need, but we have to close this gap to get it smaller and smaller so that we can put it into action. And the easiest way to do this is we have to be aware of it. Almost everything in life, without awareness, there's no way to change anything. So, ask yourself, where do I know better, but I don't do better? So where are the things that you have this knowledge, but you're not putting it into action? You'll find your answer, and you'll find that that's where you need to start closing that gap and upgrading your self-image in that area. So if we should be inviting to these opportunity calls that we now have available on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, but you're not, that's your answer right there. That's where you got to start changing your, upgrading your self-belief. Belief in the company, belief in yourself, belief in the products, belief in how it's changing people's lives. And Justin talks about this, and he talked about it in the beginning videos. And he did tell you, one of the things that he talked about was, where is your belief at from 1 to 10 in these areas, the industry, the corporate team, the systems, right? He listed them all out. And if you're not at a 10, then that's where we do some work, right? And we're going to help upgrade your self-belief or your self-image in those areas. And so we have to really act as the person who has already received these results that we want. Because if not, you're always going to have that self-doubt, that limiting belief, that gap that you're stuck in. And even if you just change it 1% a day, that's going to make a huge difference. So that's why I talked about at the beginning and end of every day, train your brain, whether it's with something that we provide to you that's going to be in the weekly homework. Maybe it's your journaling that you already do. It's podcasts, it's books, whatever it is to help you, which there is a book that I'm going to share. And I talked about this on the last call, and it's called How to, oh my gosh, what's the right way? I can't remember the exact terms of it, but the exact title, I think, is What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. This is by far one of my favorite books. I'll show you guys a picture. I have highlighted tabs all over this because this is really going to help you on training yourself on the things you're saying when you're talking to yourself, because we have billions of thoughts all day long. And if we can just do this a little bit every morning and every evening, it's going to completely change your self-image, not just in business, but in life. You're going to notice you're going to be grocery shopping with your shoulders up a little bit higher. You're going to be more confident in just regular conversations with people that you're having. And so the reason we do this is we have to replace old habits with new ones. We don't remove a paradigm. We can't just say, okay, this is my paradigm. These are all my old thoughts. I want to get rid of it. If we get rid of it, what happens? It's just going to come back. Your body doesn't know what else to operate on. We have to override it. So we constantly have to keep working on it. Like there's never a finish line here. We're always going to have these thoughts come in. We got to shut them down. We got to override it. So when a negative thought comes in, instantly, what's the complete opposite, right? I'm not a good mother. I'm an absolutely great mother. I have 3 kids that are doing good in school. They're all fed, right? They're all out of jail. Like whatever you got to tell yourself, like they haven't been to jail or in trouble. Like you have to rewrite that paradigm. And repetition, we've talked about this, repetition is what's going to build that new pattern. So if you can get in the repetition of every morning and every evening, try to create that consistent base of retraining the brain. And then throughout the day, like your brain's going to be firing. And so you got to be ready to fire back and just keep working on it. Sometimes you will get some thoughts that it'll be a runaway train. Sometimes it'll get away from you, but you just got to pull it back in and start over. So I am curious for last week. I had my questions here. I don't know what I did with them, but last week, who of you for at least one time last week did the train your brain, where you were listening to video, or you were journaling, you were reading a book at least one time last week? Dina, Jen, and I think everybody else is off camera. Julie, she's there. Shannon. Okay. That one time look at it as your 1%, right? Angie, she did it. So what if you increased it to 2 days? and then 3 days, and then 4 days. And then it becomes a ritual that you wake up in the morning. I mean, I don't know how to do this, but I'm sure that we have technology out there that your alarm clock can be like your affirmations, right? Like I think there's a way that you can record yourself, because if your brain hears your own voice too, there's something in the psychology behind hearing your own voice. I'll see if I can figure it out, because I'm just now thinking of this. But if you can record your voice of, I am smart, I'm a good leader, I am confident, I love telling people about this business, all these things that you want to rewire, you can record yourself, and there should be a way where that is your alarm clock, that you wake up to hearing yourself doing that, right? But in the week 2, I have a video in there that is talking about the knowing doing gap. It's Jim Rohn. If you guys haven't heard him, he's one of my favorite people to listen to. Use that in the morning and the evening as well to really help, that repetition to build these new patterns that we need. And then from there, you guys, we got to take fast action, because these ideas have a shelf life. And so we want to act while our desire is hot. Don't ever put anything on the shelf and want to come back to it, right? Like we want to act on it when that energy is there. And then lastly, proximity. I want to applaud all of you guys for being here. Angie, I'll read sorry, I can't read chats. I'm like a squirrel. I'll start chasing different paths, but proximity. No worries, Shannon. We'll have the recording after this. But proximity, mentorship matters, right? Who you surround yourself with. This is like the people you surround yourself with is going to help you organically and automatically rise to the standard of what they're doing. So if you are surrounded by people that they're fine with their life, they don't want to progress, they don't want to grow, they don't think that there's room for improvement, they're okay, living the Groundhog Day, you are now automatically going to set that standard for yourself. So that's why these rooms are powerful, being involved in these. Yes, you are the sum product of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Granted, you can't get rid of family, right? But you can surround yourself with all of us here, all the people in the team. So again, the knowing doing gap is not about being more educated. It's about thinking differently, acting sooner, having that belief in yourself deeper, and stepping into your next identity now, not waiting. Because your business grows when you grow, and your income grows when your identity grows, and your results will grow when your self-belief grows. That's a big one, right? It's all a snowball effect. So I'm going to leave you with one question, then we're going to open this up, see if you guys have any questions before we go into our working 30. I want you guys to ask this, okay? Write this down and really think about it. If I fully believed in my ability to succeed, what action would I take today? You don't have to have this mass to-do list of everything that you're going to do. But every morning, ask yourself, if I fully believed in my ability to succeed, what action would I take today? That's going to get you up, and that's going to get you going. That action is going to help close that gap. It's going to help build your business. That action's actually going to build you. And that's what we're doing over these next 5 weeks, is we're not just learning, but more importantly, we're doing and we're becoming. So with that being said, I want you guys to come off mute. Do you have any questions or anything you want to bring up? Last week was kind of like it was a soft launch of this, right? We were just barely getting into some of the trainings from Justin with the holidays and that. But now we have 3 calls this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that we can really get into fast action and inviting people to. One thing that I was told, and I have to put this in the chat, is Wednesday night. So they've done 2 runs where it's been men focused, and it's been so popular that they're going to keep it consistent on the schedule. So every Wednesday is going to be hosted by men, for men. So it'll be like all the men's results that, they're obviously going to have the different language with the men hosting it. But what I was going to say is, even if you're speaking with females, you can still invite them and say, hey, maybe you should jump on with your husband. It's a men's edition on Wednesday. It would be really good for both of you to see this, right? So that's a way that you can bring in the couples at looking into this. So other than that, do you guys have anything we want to talk about from this last week? There was just a couple of videos that we watched. Week 2 will be added, so you'll have all your homework. You'll know what we need to do, and then we'll come back and, you know, continue to do these calls, these working 30s. And then the way the working 30 is going to work is it's going to put you into breakout rooms. We don't get to pick who goes in them. You're just going to get popped into one, and then that's your time to work to invite people. Even if it's only one invite that you get out, it's one more than what you would have done. But this is where you can try to brainstorm with each other, ask questions in that. You know, I mean, even if I need like Jen be my cheerleader, I'm so scared to send this message. Like, tell me I can do it. Like, if that's what you need, that's what these breakout sessions are for. Go ahead, Dina.
Okay, so I have a question, and I know we are not a pyramid type company, but is there any language I can use? Because as soon as I say, I'm an affiliate, they're like, nope. And I've already been in a pyramid company. I used to sell scrapbook supplies back when that was a big thing, like 20 years ago, 25 years ago. But is there any language that sort of hooks them into not automatically going to, oh, it's a pyramid scheme type thing?
Well, what I would question, and this would be something we would want to work on behind the scenes as well, is what are you prefacing them with for them to immediately think it's a pyramid? For me, this is just my personality. So this may not sit right with your people. Is if somebody told me it's a pyramid, I would say it's probably one of the best pyramids you could be involved in, because if you look at your corporate job, you got the CEO, the CFO, the manager, the supervisor, and you. It's all coming downhill. You're getting the worst of it. So, like, I use humor in mine. I would probably send them. I would send them the pyramid where the bird's on top and it's giving its garbage to everybody down at the bottom, and it talks about,
Mhm.
you know, a corporate. Angie, no worries. But I would be curious to see what you're sending them prior for them to be like, oh, it's an affiliate thing. I want nothing to do with it.
Okay. I'll have to go look back at it was one or two people in particular,
Okay.
and I'll have to go back and look at it.
And keep in
Um,
mind, it may not even be what you're saying. It's just, it's a person that they're super comfortable with a 9 to 5 and somebody telling them what to do. And they don't have to have any extra brain cells because they have a piece of paper with a to-do list.
yeah, exactly. And then I did have one other question. I hope I'm not,
Okay.
monopolizing all the time. Um, we had talked about in the chat about, hey, can I send you this 3-minute video to watch? Where do I find that 3-minute video?
I don't think it's 3 minutes anymore.
Okay.
So it is the video that Justin has created.
Is that
And
the 8-minute video?
I think it's down to 5. It should be in the Make
Okay.
Impact app.
Yeah, it's 5 now.
It's five
I think
minutes.
I might have the link. No.
Thank you.
So it might be in the Make Impact app, but I also know it's in our Make Impact Facebook group that is designed to add people into for the business as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And also, it's on your website. So
Oh,
themakeexperience.com/, whatever your referral
yep.
code is. If you send them that, that's the very first video on the top.
Awesome.
So
Thank
that's
you.
an easy way to just get them right to your website if they want to see the video.
Great. Thank
One
you.
thing I would suggest, and you can kind of work through this, kind of see what works for you. What I'm doing is I don't offer the video, I offer the live call first,
Okay.
because there's more power in somebody getting onto a call. Like, there's more power in this with you on here versus those that have to watch it as a recording. Same
Right.
thing with the business. And if they're like, oh, well, I can't get on, like I can't get on Tuesday. Oh, well, that's okay. We have one Wednesday or Thursday. What day would be better for you? So I always invite them to the what's happening the soonest. And then if they're like, oh, I can't get on Wednesday or Thursday, they could just be throwing excuses, or they could potentially be super busy. at that point, be like, no worries. And like Justin says, you always use if I would you, you'd be like, if I sent you a video, would you have time to watch it in the next day? It's only 5 minutes long. Then send them the video. But this is going to help you too. You look at this as like a filtration system. You're going to be able to filter through the people that are really interested or those that are just not comfortable enough to tell you, no, I'm not interested. So they're just trying to kind of give some other excuses. And then with there only being 6 of us on here, I'm not even going to do a breakout room. We'll just do it with us all on here. I'm going to stop recording though, so that we don't have this at the very end. So let me go ahead and stop the recording real quick.